Greetings to all our listeners who are tuned into Radio Sri Lanka, and it is the 11th hour. And as we bring in distinguished personalities for this so-called discussion today, we are having a very, very promising personality to join us for this discussion, since women face numerous challenges and through those so-called barricades, which generally blocks the pathway towards success. And if those could be battled against, naturally, you overcome adversity and become influential, resulting in as an inspirational figure in society. And we do have with us such as more and more words can describe a dignified businesswoman with us today, none other than Miss Kasturi Wilson, the very first female group CEO of a public quoted conglomerate in Sri Lanka, Hemas Holdings PLC. A very warm welcome is extended to our show. That's the 11th hour, Miss Wilson.
Thanks, Sabrina, and it's a pleasure being on this show today.
Pleasure is ours as well. Propelling yourself and others towards success as Group CEO is inspiring, and the diversity that you add. What exactly did your inner voice prompt you by repeatedly telling you, Miss Wilson, to be an inspiring, strong leader, especially in the corporate sector, reaching prominence at present?
So that's kind of a trick question. I don't think I went down the journey of trying to be inspiring. I went down the journey of trying to be an impactful leader, building leaders when I went through it, and leaving the organization in a better place. So I needed to give back to the company which allowed me to work and which allowed me to provide for my kids. So in that journey, my inner voice would only say two things. I think, Kasturi, how can you be your true self without losing yourself in this journey? Because, and that I guess is what I would say I managed and succeeded, is I'm still who I am. I haven't changed my inner soul. I haven't changed my value system. I can definitely say I can be myself. I can be my strong personality who can be a bit too straight and too pushy or too aggressive when it comes to work. I can also be my kind, emotional person without apologizing for crying, listening to a sad story. So that was one, be your unique self. Second thing is my inner voice always gave me the guidance. If I didn't find challenges, I wouldn't have stuck on the job. So push for more, because you found that you have solved certain things and you're kind of finding time, and it didn't motivate me to hold on to a job without a challenge. So I kept pushing back and saying I want something else. That's how I landed on handling group IT, because I thought I would move out if I didn't find my job challenging.
So that was a unique challenge.
It was a challenge. So I needed to always, my voice said, find challenges, solve it, and that is my reason I go to work every day. And when you solve it, there's an impact to the organization.
Definitely.
Yeah, so it was nothing to inspire other people. It was just inspiring myself every day.
So that was what kept you triggering towards your success journey.
So you go through one step at a time, and this journey helped me to be able to give my kids a better life, provide for my parents, and those were my bigger ticket items at that point in the process, because it was about how I can provide for them, how I can and be impacting the company which allowed me to do all this. In the process, you kind of leave a footprint in the people you touch.
Of course.
And then you end up in this place. For me, it's still, the title doesn't define me. I'm still doing a job. We have 6,000 employees in Hemas.
That's exactly how you see it.
I see it as that I have a role to play, and everybody around me has a role to play. And if any of the 6,000 people don't do their role, we are impacted. So if I don't do my role, they are impacted.
That's the answer, simple.
Yeah.
Very true. Very inspiring. Moving on to my second question, Kasturi. Women have historically been underrepresented in leadership positions across private and public organizations around the globe, which we see a change that's rapidly taking place at present, which is a promising approach. For a better tomorrow, this is what we always think on that note. What are the key characteristics you see and you tend to see as a promising approach towards the workforce when there is a female leadership involved in an organization?
I guess There has to be, again, I think, two things. One is in the eyes of the leader, second is in the eyes of the organization. In the eyes of a leader, I guess, like I said, I held on to my authentic self purely because I think it's a huge effort to try to be somebody else. I can't.
True.
I've got feedback that Kasturi is too straight, too aggressive. We can't work with her. She pushes us too much.
You have heard this many times.
The 360s are there in hard copy format, but I guess how much of you adjust without losing your inner self is something every female leader has to be working on. So because they have to be assertive and get their things done without being seen as aggressive. They have to be able to be intuitive or show empathy without saying she's emotional.
So do you think you need any prior strategies or something of that nature which you have to master upfront to be that so-called personality as a leader?
So there is no strategy. I think whether it's a female or a male, I would advise be very self-aware.
Right. That's the basic.
Basic, because technically we can't say we are perfect. I adjusted by listening to people. Then I had to look back at myself, and I adjust what I needed to adjust. So the bigger things I adjusted was, how do I let the others also learn the way I think? How do I allow them to succeed? That meant I slowed down. That meant I didn't shoot down a idea saying this sounds ridiculous.
So you gave a superb platform for anyone to grow.
I think we both grew in the process. I grew better as a leader because I got the feedback and I realized a leader can be only defined by what that leader shapes and gives back. You can't be a leader who's just a P&L. You have to leave a legacy, right? And if I didn't listen and I didn't shape that person to be their best, I was not doing my job. So technically, if you're self-aware and you're willing to listen and willing to understand the impact you're having on other people, and you adjust yourself purely to get the best out of the rest. I love my me time. I loved my holidays. I loved seeing my kids. So the team had to do the work. I just have to make sure that they understand their worth and they understand their capability. So that's your problem, the employee's point of view or the leader's point of view. Second thing, from organization's point of view, you leave a culture which enables, in our society, the women are the biggest caregivers in a home.
That's how things are.
Yes.
Seen
and
probably.
Culturally, and also it's an Asian thing. So it's not only in Sri Lanka, right?
Not at all, yes.
In that context, you cannot tell the mother, the husband, the mother-in-law and all to change their view. That's beyond us. What we do and what we did at AMAS, and I think organizations should do, is one is, if they haven't done it so far, make sure that the women there are policies to allow women to succeed. So we have a saying at AMAS, I succeeded because I got special treatment. It was unequal for women at home. We had special treatment. We could come at 9:30 and nobody could ask questions. We could go off at 3 if the kid was sick. Nobody could ask questions. So we were given an environment that we didn't have to apologize for having other roles.
So this atmosphere is created.
That culture was created.
Right.
Now we've moved from that. I must say that was a historic. I mean, I've been there for 20 years. 20 years ago when I joined, that was a culture. Because they actually looked at it from families matter kind of thing. Now we actually twist it to, and I talk about it about families matter. It's not male or female. The nucleus of a family is important. So we would facilitate to make sure your families grow. So it means if a guy says, I need time to look after my kid while my wife works, so be it.
Perfectly fine.
So it's an organization should understand, and those are evolved organizations, to what culture you want. We're still majority. Actually, the good news is majority are trying to make the culture to allow women to succeed.
That's the good news.
The other side of it is all the gentlemen there have wives also. Some of them work, some of them are housewives. Can we influence them to be better at families so that their wives also can succeed? So it's more kind of a social thing. And so now our policies are, we kind of do it for families to succeed.
So that's the secret.
Yeah, it is a secret. It should come from within, right? And the values of a company. If you don't, and if it's only about delivery of numbers and you don't understand what the people are what they are going through. And funnily, every woman has a different challenge. So they come
Certainly,
and
yes.
say creches, that, this. We looked at it. You can't have one size fits all. Each one is special. Each one's problem is special.
And it's unique in its own way. So it's a very promising environment if all the cultures of all the corporate sectors could adapt that.
Yeah. And the bigger challenge, I think some of the SMEs handle it because they're owner-led.
That's true.
And they kind of understand, their family is also like that. But
So there's a better understanding in a setting like that.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes you also have an owner who doesn't appreciate women at work because their women don't work. Then it's a struggle. So it depends on.
They have a mindset such as that, isn't it?
It is the mindset is the biggest thing. So yeah.
Very inspiring and
So
more
but
to
at
talk
AMS,
on.
we have a lot of women. I mean, I think
There's a majority of female employees.
we have 30. I think in overall we are at around 30% but
Is
in
it?
the senior leadership in all key positions we have women. We have the chief growth officer who is a woman. We have the most couple of the finance directors are women. We have directors of supply chain. We've got numerous people who
So many leaders, very
Many
many
leaders.
promising leaders.
and the beauty I see, they're the most vociferous ones now.
Also,
So yeah, so they have the license to be themselves and
they hold on to that liberty.
yes.
Interesting. And moving on to our final question, due to the time factor, the competitive advantage women leaders offer to an organization is immense. So since women excel at soft skills and emotional intelligence, that they prove to be key competitive advantage. So today from the Business Forum requires leaders with this diversity. So do you see a promising future for the women to be in the corporate sector, Kasturi?
I think it does, and not only corporate. Look at government. If you see the women-led countries handle crisis better. If you step back and look at your homes, when a kid is sick or there is a crisis, the mother calmly will calm the child. Everybody is unique, but majority is that. So when it comes to corporate, yes, we are different. We won't lead the way a man does. And if you want a workforce to be galvanized, if you want them to get the best out of somebody, the nurturing, the intuition, and the fact that you can get the women can engage better is an advantage. Having said that, how do we also make sure human beings, being human beings, will try to take that emotional nurturing part of it and perceive it as not a strong leader. So you need to make sure that you are also precise, you understand what you want, and while you're tough, they see the soft side. So it's that tough love point of view, and they respect you. So people who work closely with me, the teams with me, love me for who I am. People who see me from outside say she's one of the toughest bosses.
They see you from a different perspective.
And that's a peer set, tough, hard-coded on deliverables. But that's it. So you don't have to apologize for being that. That's me at work, and this is who I am as an individual.
I really like that statement. You simply do not have to apologize, isn't it?
You don't have to, and that's who you are. And I'm sure the men at certain situations, men are better leaders in certain circumstances.
Depends.
They'll be able to take certain decisions in a different view. We view the problems differently, and we take the decisions majority because it's the right thing to do. So I guess we do build sustainable businesses because we kind of do not look at short-term tactical stuff, because we kind of look at the bigger things. So you see that.
So that is the strength of a woman, you would say.
Yes. If they are willing to take that leap and they have the freedom to spread their wings, I'm sure I will have.
Why are certain women a little hesitant to do that, Kasturi? Why? What do you see? What do you see? How do you see it? And what's your opinion on that?
Because look, even me, if I didn't have a boss who said, look, go into unfamiliar territory, you can do it. I see that you can do it. I would have doubted, because we brought up in the fact, as kids, we grew up thinking a leader is a man.
That's the image.
That's the image. And women can do these roles.
That was already decided upon the
And so
society.
you're growing up in it. So when you're given that, you have quite a bit of element of self-doubt. Unless there's somebody who is really your champion pushing you. Either it's your boss, or it's your husband, it's your parents, or brother, or friends. Somebody has to push.
That force is there.
I had a support system which made me believe So I had my friends who thought nothing was possible for me. My bosses who believed that I was a right fit for those roles, even though it was male-dominant roles. I had my parents, my mother, who would not discourage a woman going out there. And I had my domestics at home who were saying, it's okay, they look after the kids. So
they gave that assurance.
So you need to give credit to, I couldn't have done it alone. And
so it's a team effort.
Team effort, and the self-belief comes from people who encourage you and push you.
Very inspiring. So unfortunately, because of the time factor, we have to conclude the talk show, and it takes so much pleasure in having you today on our program that is the 11th hour. So today the Business Forum requires leaders with diverse skills, perspectives, and of course experience in abundance. Hence, having more women as you, Kasturi Wilson, would be definitely a promising forefront for all the employees, because they have a role model as a business leader is what I see. So I'm sure the challenges are yet to come, and these challenges will be definitely very productive, and more balanced boardroom conversations will be more fruitful. Thank you very much for making yourself available today, Kasturi Wilson.
Thanks so much, Sabrina. Actually, it was a pleasure being here and having this refreshing conversation. It's not a traditional interview. I'm definitely for me.
Wonderful to hear that. Thank you so much, dear listeners, for joining us with another interesting episode on 11th Hour.